Hey guys, it's Alex with Hammond Watch, here today with an Omega Speedmaster broad arrow. It's a silver dial version, very much the opposite of the broad arrows I've experienced in the past. Most are vintage themed. This is 100% contemporary in its design. It's silly Omega number. It's a 321-1044-02001. I really wish they would change their logging system, but kind of moving on from there. Let's run through some of the sizing on this so we can get into the back. The movement's got a little bit to cover that I think you guys are going to enjoy. But the case size, it's bigger than a traditional Speedmaster Professional. It's a 44.25 millimeter case. You're looking at a 21 millimeter lug width. Always a little bit annoying. I like changing out my straps a lot. Kind of the redeeming quality though is that Omega does a fantastic job at manufacturing their bracelets. It tapers down to 18 millimeters, and then at the clasp we go back up to 20.25. So very moderate proportions. It feels very good on wrist. The lug to lug on these is a bit deceiving. So if you measure actual lug tip to lug tip, you're looking at 49.5, which is, I guess for a wide watch, pretty on par. But there's a center link in this that sticks out and protrudes. If you measure very tip to tip to get that kind of effective lug to lug, it's 55 millimeters. So you're going to want to have a pretty wide wrist if you're going to try this watch on. Its height is 14 millimeters. A lot of that, though, is this box sapphire crystal. The effective, so just to the top of this tachymeter to the bottom of this case back, is closer to a shade over 11. So very thin for how wide it is. It makes it a little bit forgiving on wrist. But again, if you don't have the width to pull off this effective kind of lug to lug from this end link, probably not going to be for you. So powering this broad arrow is a 3313. It's a 28,800 beats movement with 25 joules and a 55-hour power reserve. It was developed from Frederic Piguet. Piguet is a company that was developing movements that many companies were purchasing, including Omega. It's a thinner movement than the 7750, and thus I think worked in a lot more of the high-end watches. It started off its life, so Piguet had a manual wind caliber called the 1180. Eventually he goes in, adds an automatic bridge and a winding system, becomes the 1185. And then eventually when Omega comes calling, trying to develop an automatic chronograph movement, it develops into the 1285, and then kind of from there we end up at the 3313. It is a column wheel chronograph. It does have a coaxial escapement as well, so very signature to Omega. If you guys are ever looking at these for purchase, just take note of some of the markings on the bracelet. Also on the lower end of the case, on the non-pusher side, you will see, sorry, let me try to get it in there, a serial number. Just always make sure. Watches of this caliber have a ton of detail, and if it's not there, just make sure you don't get snake bit by anything. So that caliber that we were just discussing means you get a date and a full chronograph function. So this is going to be your running seconds. Then you have your chronograph minutes. The seconds hand here is actually your chronograph seconds, and then chronograph hours along the bottom. The top pusher is going to engage your chronograph and start your timing process. As it goes on, this is not a flyback. And what a flyback is, so if I was to start this chronograph and then click this bottom pusher and it snap back to 0 and immediately start retiming, that's referred to as a flyback chronograph. This is more of a traditional chronograph, so you'll have to hit the top pusher a second time, stop the watch, and then the bottom pusher will reset you. Very satisfying reset. Falls just on the left side of your kind of zero mark, which is exactly where you want things. I'm a big fan of the tachometer in stainless steel. I like stainless steel bezel watches. I know that Tag Heuer is a terrible brand. I agree, but I've had some stainless bezel aqua racers, and to be honest, the aesthetic has always appealed to me a little bit, and every time I see it, it just kind of scratches a bit of an itch for me. The dial has these Arabic numerals. They're very much raised. Try to get a good angle on them for you. You'll notice there's a lot of layers. The sub-dials seem to sit just above the dial as well, and then have almost like a netting underneath them, kind of an industrial feel. The dial itself is almost finished like a movement. The stripes that come across have a bit of a grain to them, as I'm sure you guys can see there, to the point where when I was sitting it on the table, the wood reflecting on it made it kind of blend in and almost look a little bit like a wood dial. Going to turn the lights out real quick. The luminescence on this are pretty solid. I'm pretty impressed. I'll leave the backlight on. I don't think we need to go completely dark to get the point across, but very legible in low light situations, as you'd come to expect from a brand like Omega. But if you guys have enjoyed the video, I have a couple coming out this week. Hit subscribe, and then the bell icon will give you notifications when content's coming out. I'll also have a couple of videos up here on the side. Look at some of our other content. Let me know what you like and what you don't. We'll kind of adjust things and improve accordingly. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.